Hello viewers and welcome to the latest episode of The Huddle. I'm here with Rasmus Sojmark, CEO and founder of SBC. Raz, thanks for joining us.
The pleasure is all mine, Tim.
And thanks for inviting us as well, SBC HQ. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, it's a new office, so I thought having a talk with you, this would be the perfect place, and everyone can see that SBC's got a great new setup here, and this is my own office, so welcome here.
Yeah, thanks very much. Great location, great timing too. We've got SBC Lisbon coming up. We're going to go into a lot of detail. We're going to talk sort of football, DJs, the show itself.
Lots of things to talk about.
Yeah, but kind of a broad scope. What are your expectations this year for Lisbon?
I mean, for this year, it's obviously it's a big event. We have about 30,000 delegates. We have 132,000 square meters of space in the Phil and in Mio Arena. About 800 exhibitors, sponsors. We have a huge conference program. I think it's about 8 stages, but what we're doing this year, we are mixing it up a bit. We have, besides the normal sports betting and iGaming conference, we have the Global Market Conference. We have the Emerging Market Conference where we start putting emphasis on the local market regulations. So the global market covers Latin America and Brazil. It covers Western Europe and it covers North America with Canada and US. The Emerging Market Conference is Africa. It's Eurasia, including Middle East. We have also Asia. So you get a chance to have literally every single day there's a one-day conference for that particular market. So if you're into more regulation, more detail about Latin America and Brazil, there'll be a full-day conference for that. The same for Africa. Instead of people normally with conferences moving around between the entire floor to find a certain panel on marketing or sports betting that deals with Africa, it's all concentrated in one day. That also means that you get to network and you get to do business with the same people based on interest for that particular region, because they'll all be there for that very day. So I think that's very exciting for the conference part. Added to that, I think sometimes what we miss in conferences is there's a lot of information and details shared about a certain topic and market, but what we lack sometimes is education. So we're introducing the tech academies. So we got one that focuses on Web 3.0, crypto. We got one that focuses on marketing in high-level detail. Gary Vaynerchuk will be there to take a Q&A with the audience for 45 minutes. We have the AI, where Randy Zuckerberg, the sister of Mark Zuckerberg, will be there to also work with the audience and educate them about AI. And we have around player retention and gamification. So those are academies. They are actually there to teach you and educate you, not convey information, but talk like as in almost like a classroom in a way. So those are on the conference side. Lots of things going on. Then we have obviously we have the food festival. We have 8 food festival areas around the event, which serves all sorts of street food for Vietnamese to Japanese sushi to Thai food to local Portuguese food, anything you like. So Tim, when you're there, you don't have to leave the venue. You can literally go around the entire event, 132,000 square meters, and find the type of food you like. Often you have to leave the venues because you got to find a restaurant, you take people for lunch, but you have it all there. So I think that's a perfect part of the event as well. And we know when people have the food, the drinks they're looking for as well, they feel looked after, there's a bit of convenience to it. And usually they intend to enjoy themselves more and feel more appreciated. So I think that's a key part of the event. Plenty of networking spaces, so you and I can sit down and have a meeting and have a coffee and talk without having to steal the seats or space at a booth or something. We actually have plenty of spaces to sit down outside and inside. I know we'll talk about last year's event, but in case it rains, plenty of space inside. If it doesn't rain, the usual time of year or the usual weather this time of year in Portugal would be sun is shining. There's plenty of outdoor areas where we can sit and enjoy a drink and have a business conversation as well. On top of that, obviously, there's the evening events. There's dinners. There's parties with some very famous DJs. So when people finish off a day of being very busy, We take them to a great venue with some world-class DJs, and they can relax a bit and enjoy themselves, and and continue the networking. But added to that, I think maybe also break down, there's an affiliate event, Affiliate Leader Summit. There's a payment event, Payment Expert Summit. So there's something for the affiliate market. There's something for the payment and fintech industry. And lastly, maybe worth mentioning the SBC Leader Summit. We introduced this in to have a pre-day on Monday, the 15th September, where we have 550 of the key industry CEOs literally coming on a pre-day event to Lisbon to talk business very high level. So there's an opportunity for operators, affiliates, key suppliers, regulators, and associations to meet and just relax a bit. Because when you get into the main event, it's big, right? It's a lot of booth, set up stands, it's meetings, it's networking. Here, pre-day, we have a little bit more relaxed networking on a very high level. So I think that's about it. That was a long answer, sorry.
That approach of, as you said, kind of splitting the panels up into different areas, but as you mentioned, that's kind of an approach at the show as well. That was very much a highlight of last year's show. Yeah. You touched on last year. A lot of good feedback from the industry. I enjoyed it as an attendee myself. Certainly a huge size to that venue.
I appreciate that.
In terms of this year, and looking back on last year, any learnings that you took, and how did you reflect on last year's show?
Well, I think last year we had about 25,000 people there. I think it was a great event because one thing that is key with events is to kind of look at them like it is a product, right? An event is a product like any other product. If you want to retain your customers, in this case, we want delegates to come back. You got to deliver a good event. This year, we're looking at 30,000. So obviously, we want all the delegates from last year to come back, plus more. And we're seeing that. So I think the outcome of last year's event was to try and make sure everyone were happy. They felt they had a great event that gave them the information, the knowledge they wanted, but also the business and the ROI, right? Without return on investment, the event doesn't work. And I think we gave them that last year. That was the appreciation of most of the delegates, that they felt this was an event on a very high level, quality-led, but also business was created there. So they're coming back, and I think that's absolutely key. We delivered that. But also, we brought in some exciting names like Tony Hawk, and we had Merab Devashvili, who just came out a fresh win of the UFC. We had Peter Schmeichel, Louis Figo, Rubens Barrichello, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the World Wide Web. So there was interesting names as well, right? So long story short, I felt personally that was the best event I ever been to. And that's also why we coined the term the greatest show in gaming. And I do personally believe that it is the greatest show in gaming. I mean, it doesn't mean it's the biggest show necessarily, but it means it's the greatest show in gaming because it's a culmination of so many different experiences in the right way. It's predominantly looking at the delegates at the core of it. We need to look after them. We don't want to waste their time booking flights, booking hotels, coming to Lisbon. We got to make sure that this event is catering to them, which means that every person is different. So you got to create different experiences and try and pull them together in a whole, which is the product, which is the event, and make sure it works. And that's why we have all these different elements of keynotes and speakers and exhibition and parties and networking events and all of that, the food included, right? We know how amazing it is when the food is nice and you don't feel disappointed because you're there for 3 days. All these factors create this sort of experience. I think you saw that last year. And this is why we continue this greatest show in gaming, which I really think we have here.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier, obviously moving to this building, and when we talk about SBC Lisbon, I remember rewind back to 2018 when I was fairly fresh-faced in the industry, and I was at the SBC London Summit, and that was a good show. But obviously the size now, we're talking a completely different scale. I'm sure a lot of people are interested to know perhaps your insights into how do you manage that growth and that scaling up? And that's something we kind of touched on off camera earlier as well.
Yeah, those were the good days. I mean, we all had the first event. We all started in Stamford Bridge back in 2014 with the proper business event. Before that, we did have London Baby, which was tied in with ice for years. I think where we are today is based on the fact that we have been very tenacious, very persistent in creating a great event product that was led by quality. I think before SBC started organizing their events or our events, the focus was more quantitative. It was more about build it and they would come. Like it was type, here's an exhibition, you sponsor, you exhibit, people either pay or they come for free, and they come there and the experience they probably get or the things there for being available to them is quite minimalistic in terms of there's not a lot of stuff that's offered to them besides the business they have to find themselves. So I think we try to put in different elements like complimentary food, drinks, evening events where we pay for all of it. That's been a continuation of what we've been doing around our events. And I think the more you continue doing things, the more people understand that's part of the product. Sometimes the problem here is that people almost take it for granted that they gotta get things for free. So if we are to grow, we gotta continue communicating with our sponsors, with the operators, with the affiliates, everyone there, and say, guys, you do have to look at different ways of supporting us, whether it's helping us with the marketing, the word of mouth, investing more money into the business or the event. We need that as well, because we can't just scale and increase the event tenfold without you investing more. Right? So you gotta go on this journey with us. So step by step, you continue scaling the quality. You keep investing back into the event, better venues, the same quality of food, more conference opportunities, more keynote speakers, better conditions for the exhibitors, right? That costs more money. So you got to have this partnership with the delegates as well as the sponsors and exhibitors, because if they're not willing to invest, you can't grow, right? So that's one key thing. I think we managed to find this path, this journey where people trust us. They have credibility in the business we do with our events. They want to grow with us. So they are supporting our growth. So obviously a big thank you to all our partners for being on that journey. The same with you guys. I mean, without the support of Gambling Insider and other key media outlets, we couldn't grow as well. We need that marketing, that help and appreciation. The next part is obviously clearly internal. Like, I think a lot of us saw with COVID that there was a big stop. Some businesses were flourishing and it worked for them, and there was, depending on what type of business, other businesses, hard stop. Yeah. Events, businesses like us, hard stop. We couldn't organize events. We didn't have venues available. We had to take huge risk and convert into digital, which was far, far less money that could be made, of course. And suddenly you start looking at your product. And many of us actually used that time to come out at the other the other ends, far more composed and ready for growth, because we reflect on what we have been doing and we started implementing a lot of stuff. So same now here with where we're at. I think without the internal growth, the teams, the culture, the company, the way of working, without that being aligned and ready for growing with you, you're not going to grow. It's the same like the partners, internal, external, internal. People have to understand your vision, what it is you want to do. 1 event, 5 events, 10 events. Whatever it is we do, we have to communicate internally and make people understand what we're doing, and they take this on board and they start growing with us. And I think this has been a step-by-step process. We have great people in SBC, but you can't just expect everyone to say, oh, we're going to do more events, we're going to scale them 5 times, and they're all on it. They're going to work evenings and weekends. No. You keep it within a normal frame of how you work, and you keep sort of looking at this and saying, okay, now we got to stop here. Now we got to fix this. We got to work here. We got to have some great people here working with this, and we got to make sure everyone is with us. I would say sometimes I like to have grown a bit faster, but because of the way you balance external and internal, it takes time. So I would say we've been very patient, but we also been patient because we managed to make both the internal and the external work. and everyone wanting to grow with us. So yeah, but clearly without everyone at SBC and with about 150 people now, it would be impossible to grow. So I think we managed to create a great culture that made this possible. Yes.
You mentioned earlier the entertainment. We both touched on kind of the DJs you've got at the show this year. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about who's performing and who's going to kind of maybe kind of attract the most attention, but also an insight into maybe the process of booking them, because obviously it's a different industry. You've got the music industry. We're going to talk about the sports industry soon in a second as well. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about the...
Very interesting question, by the way, because you're touching base on the right things. There's a level, this is more of a consumer world where we work a lot in B2B, right? I would like to say that the reason with the DJs is we have, as in Lisbon, a big event, 30,000 people, and we know that the people that are creating an exhibition aren't just there for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when the show is open. They're there for 2 weeks. They're building massive stands. They commit time. They travel. So if we got 800 sponsors and exhibitors, some of them have to spend 2 weeks in Lisbon setting this up. So if we have people so committed to making that company stand out with the stands, the booth, and the whole setup, and we internally have worked our asses off to make this happen, you got to give them something, right? So the time these guys have where they are really finished with everything is almost always going to be the evening of the last day of the show. Thursday evening in this case. The exhibition ends around 5, 6 o'clock. But in the evening, people can relax a bit. We know on Friday, they're back to, dismantling the whole thing and, taking all the bits back that needs to be taken down from the booth, the whole setup, and it's going to be some days of work still. So that Thursday evening, we wanted to create something special. That's where the DJs came in. We thought last year, let's book some amazing DJs and let everyone have the greatest time of their life, free drinks, free entertainment, a massive stage show, all these AVs, the pyros, the FX, boom, 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 something like almost being at Tomorrowland, which is obviously a big festival for some of the biggest DJ names in the world. It was like a mini Tomorrowland. So we created that and it worked really well. So we continued with that concept, which we then branded Infinity. And Infinity is now actually on its own website, theinfinity.com. So it's become its own brand. And Infinity is now in Florida, in Rio, in Malta, and in Lisbon. Lisbon is the biggest one. So in Lisbon, we now this year wanted to go even bigger. I give it even bigger show for all our partners, all the sponsors, all the exhibitors, all the delegates, to give them like a finale where they really come to enjoy it as something unique. So we booked Alok and Timmy Trumpet. These DJs in my book is potentially top 5 of the biggest entertainers in the DJ world. They're incredible. Their live shows is insane, out of this world. I was in Hakkasan in Las Vegas about 8-9 months ago with a Timmy Trumpet live concert. Insane. Alok amasses 30 million plus followers on Instagram. He is one of the biggest celebrities in all of Brazil. So there's a good resonance with Brazil market here as well. And they're gonna smash it, absolutely. But again, the key is here, this is us giving back. It really, the core of the event is still on the business and the ROI element. We just, as I said, the greatest show in gaming needs elements that makes it stand out by creating almost like the combination or connection of different elements. DJs and the party experience here is something of one unique part that just completes the experience for a lot of people that we invite. I would like to say there's an added benefit here this year. I don't know if anyone, I watch Britain's Got Talent with my daughters. I don't know if you watch Britain's Got Talent.
I've seen it in the past.
Okay. But this year there was one show that in the start, in the qualifier, got the golden buzzer. In the semi-final, they also got the golden buzzer, which means they're really good. They were called the Blackouts. So when I saw them, I picked up the phone to my team. I said, listen, I want to book these guys. They're incredible. They had an amazing show. In the final, they came second. I thought they should have won. They have this amazing LED show, this incredible setup. So at the SBC Awards, and also as an intro to the Infinity Lisbon with DJs, you'll also get 2 shows from the blackouts. So that's another element we added, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you say, plenty of additional value.
And just you asked about booking the DJs as well. It's not easy. You work with celebrities. It's very contractual in terms of what are you allowed to do, how can you market it. It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But I won't bore you with that. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Very good segue into the next portion of the interview, where I think it's football related, so we should both be careful. We could be here all day if we get too far into it. But obviously you have well, you can tell us all about it, but you've got a big match coming up, a charity match coinciding with SBC Lisbon. It's in the football world. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. We're trying to build a brand around this because it's supposed to be a 4-year thing in the build-up to the World Cup 2030 in Lisbon. So we coined it the Legends Charity Game. Wow. Amazing name. So obviously it includes legends and includes a big element of charity, and it's a game. So Legends Charity Game. But
you hit all the KPIs there.
No, with the reason for this, it's bringing back some of the best ever football players for the last, let's say, almost 4 decades or so. The players we all grown up with, right? It's almost like dad's son, and dad's dad. It's like a 3-generational thing. Now, I'm a very passionate footballer myself. I played since I was 5 years old. I love football. I played championship manager for days without moving from my chair. So I knew a lot of footballers back in the 90s from the fact of just sitting there scouting players and buying players for my team. So a lot of the players that we're using for this, which I'll come back to, is players I've been using in games for years and grown up with. So we wanted to do something special. We wanted to create something around charity. And we feel football is best aligned with that. So we came up with this idea for the Legends Charity Game of pitching almost like the Portugal Legends against the World Legends. Was that possible? Yes. Now, Portugal Legends, because obviously we are in Lisbon with SBC Summit, so if we could do it the day before the main event, there would be a good connection. And that's in Lisbon, so obviously Portugal Legends resonate very well with this. But the other thing is that 2030, 4 years from now, we got the World Cup in Portugal. So if you take the Portuguese team, you obviously create a lot of narrative and story around that you connect in with the World Cup as well. So the World Legends, I remember from my childhood, there was this world team that was playing like with some of the best players. I sort of wanted to bring a little bit of that back. And the World Legends now became a team that was going to be made of by the best players in Europe and the best players in Latin America and Brazil. So we looked at players, and for that we started connecting with some agents and some of the people we know from having worked with celebrities for years. We had Gullit, Desailly, Peter Cech, Mendieta, Seda, Figo, all these players sort of been part of our journey based on the SBC Awards hosting or doing keynotes at the event. So we did have some good contacts to these guys. And we ended up with now with Edwin van der Sar in goal. Mm-hmm. We got in defense, we got Cafu, Zanetti, we got Evra, we got Materazzi, we got Puyol, and Karen Bö, who's maybe more defensive midfield, but still there. At midfield, we got Hadji, Djukaev, we have Balakov, Bulgaria, and we have Kaká coming in as well. And we have, who else do we have? We have Mendieta, and there's a few others to come in as well. But in attack, we got Saviola, Owen, we have Henrik Larsson, and we got Del Piero. Mm-hmm. There's a few more players I'm working on, but this is sort of making up of the World Legends, which means Italy, France, Bulgaria, Romania, Denmark. Schmeichel is the coach. We had Diego Lugano from Uruguay, Cafu, Brazil, Kaká, Larsson, Sweden, Owen, England, Del Piero, Italy, Saviola, Argentina with Zanetti, Evra, Djukaev, Karen Bö, France, Spain, Mendieta, Puyol, I don't think I mentioned Puyol, but obviously Puyol. So it's an incredible team. Getting these players together has been a lot of work, a lot of contractual with the agents and the players and trying to get them to be there on Monday, 15 September in Lisbon. And the Portuguese Legends is an insane team as well. It's Figo, it's Deco, it's Carvalho, it's Bruno Alves, it's Contrao, it's Nuno Gomes, Postiga, Almeida. I hope Pepe and Nani should join as well. We have Manish, Simao, Costinha. That's probably not all of them, but to mention some of the names, it's like literally the golden generation of Portuguese football. An insane team, right? So these two teams are then going to play in this Legends charity game on Monday, 15 September in Lisbon. It's either going to be at Benfica or Sporting Lisbon Stadium. And here's the reason. That was one of the main difficulties creating this, because the Champions League schedule isn't released before the end of August. So one of our Benfica Sporting Lisbon will play at home on the Tuesday or on the Wednesday. So we cannot say which stadium it will be until the end of August. So we had to contract those stadiums, look at how we brand it, how we work with it and all that. That's been a lot of work, but it's done. And the excitement of that will be a big reveal at the end of August. Which stadium are we going to use? And we then work with the FPF, because the more we went into talking about the Portugal Legends, the more interested the FPF became, which is the Portuguese Football Federation. So we're working very closely with them to field, as you heard, probably the best Portuguese team you can field, but also work with them. They got 20 million followers on Instagram. They got Channel 11. They broadcast football in Portugal, so we'll broadcast it with them into everyone in Portugal can watch it on TV. So there's a lot of work we do with them. We also work with Marca, La Gazzetta, Rengia Sports Media Group, SofaScore, FlashScore, and other entities to help promote the game. And so it's quite big. But at the end of the day, the main reason here, as much as I like to talk about football, because obviously a passion, and we obviously both love football.
Not the same team, but we'll look past that one.
We have both Chelsea? Or no? Okay. But with the whole reason here is the charity angle. Now, what we have as a very clear message is raising over €1 million in charity for communities and families impacted by conflict and war around the world. So we have 4 different charities. We have Red Cross in Ukraine. We have Red Cross in Portugal. We have Caritas Portugal, which looks after refugees and families impacted by various ways of poverty or conflict and war that somehow create a lot of misfortune, obviously. They are part of it. And then we have International Alert, which similar works around different parts of the world, especially Africa as well, to support families and communities that's been impacted. So instead of one, we chose 4 different charities that are similar-ish, but works with different parts of the world to try and amplify the message. And what we do is the money we raise is equally distributed between these charities. And obviously we hope to raise more than $1 million. And I will be very, very, very tough on the industry when I'm going to start pushing for more donations. I can say that SBC already made €50,000 donation. Ruby Play also made a 20,000 recently, and many more are coming. I got big sponsors already that are supporting the event and charities like Soft2Bet, Soft Construct, Yo Health, Alea, IGP, AmuseNet, Sporting Tech, Spripe, some great companies supporting. More to come. So we're getting to the level of having something real unique here. And besides creating this huge spectacle of a game next to it, and I can tell you there will be an amazing halftime show. Players are going to arrive in buses before that at 6 o'clock. So the fans are going to be outside the stadium, welcome the players. At the exit, the Portuguese team, the World Legends, are going to exit the bus, arrive into the stadium. Watching the first half of the game. Amazing setup. We work with Media Pro that will cover the whole game. We're going to broadcast it for now. I know Bulgaria, Portugal, Romania, Mexico, Brazil, Germany. We're talking various TV and big sports media. We're also working with all of the Eurasian countries, like even Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, in Ukraine. We're looking at Greece, Hungary, Slovakia, Serbia. So the game will be broadcast in a lot of countries as well, because obviously a game like this where the legends are playing and the best legends with a good charity element is always of interest. So that's also quite big. So yeah, it's got a good coverage, and halftime, as I said as well, there will be a huge name to be announced. And then halftime, then there'll be the winner celebration, medals, trophies, and all that. And then on a Tuesday, actually, when you are at the SBC Summit, there will be a Legends Charity Game press talk around 10:45. What happens there is about 20 of the players will be at the Mio Arena Superstage. So there'll be half an hour where everyone from the summit as well are invited in to see the players on the stage. They can take pictures, see them, and there'll be some talks, some questions from the press. Maybe, I'm sure Gambling Insider has some interesting questions. That's quite big, because you know how excited we get sometimes by seeing a couple of cool players that are at a stand and they do a meet and greet here. You get to see potentially 20 of the best players in the world on the stage, taking questions from the press, pictures with them. It's pretty cool. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. It wasn't in exact context, but I think maybe very clear is it's Monday, 15 September at 8 o'clock. Legends charity game, World Legends against Portugal Legends, raising over €1 million in charity. And we can obviously speak about the Gambling Insider donation after this. But I will appeal to the industry to make their donations. They can do that via the website, because we need support. It's a noble cause, and we should definitely all support it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like a very worthy cause. Big event, as you say. Often, I mean, I've been to Liverpool Legends games. That might give a clue to my team. But often you go to a Legends game and there'll be a star, and with all respect to some ex-pros, they'll fill the squad with people who were free that day. But this lineup is, this is. I don't know if you could venture a prediction, perhaps on paper, who you think might win.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think I also like to mention we try to grab names. Grab is maybe the wrong word, but find the names that were representing different countries in Europe, as well as Latin America and Brazil as a start. And I think we managed that. So it just reaches further in the fact that we want the countries be behind the players, the legends. Like Hachi, for instance, Romania, he's incredible. There's never been a Romanian player like him, right? As an example. So, I mean, you obviously have a home field advantage for Portugal, led by and captained by Luis Figo.
Yeah. They might have age on their side potentially as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably slightly younger. There's a bit of a mix on the World Legend side. So maybe let's just for the sheer excitement call it a 3-3 draw and get into the penalties, right? So let's say 3-3.
Yeah. And a final question on this area. We'll talk more about the summit. But we mentioned the hard work needed in this industry with events. Then obviously how different it was with music.
Yeah.
How different is sport? Because even just the fact that you said you can't pick the stadium for obvious reasons, that's a whole different ball game. Yeah. That's a bit of a pun there.
It's. I would say the world of sports is quite chaotic. You can obviously understand players that's been playing for years. Now they're not playing anymore. They either do broadcasting, they are commentators, host, all of that. They create their own brands, they invest in startups, whatever. They do a lot of different things. They obviously want to be quite protective over their own brand, because any company out there would try and take advantage of the name, the legacy, and it often happens. So any contract has to be very on par. You don't really get to market anything without getting approval first. A lot of players, funny enough, they don't even own any rights to their own images. You would have to use Getty Images, Shutterstock, other things to actually get to use the images. Because all these pictures taken of them, I don't think there wasn't too much thinking about that in the past, that everyone just owns the right to their pictures. It just seems wrong. But I think that's just the way the world is set up, right? And also there's a lot more enforcement around copyrights and ownership around photos and stuff, right? So they just want to make sure that it's a fair deal. And until they know you as an organizer or contractual party, they will be tough. So I think we're starting to warm up a bit more, but working with 40 contracts with 40 players certainly isn't easy. Yeah. So on the Portuguese side, we work a lot with FPF, the Portuguese Football Federation, who is overseeing the contractual part. So we obviously, we take in the cost of the entire event, but they are sort of subcontracting based on the close connection they have, because they're also playing the official Portuguese kit and all that. On the Wild Legends side, I mean, I know some of the players who work with Schmeichel, Mendieta, and some of these guys before. They're very easy. They talk our talk. So dealing with them sometimes is very easy, whereas others with the agents is very tough. Mm-hmm. You also have to book the flights. And again, because it's Champions League week, some of the players might want to stay in Lisbon. So they're very slow to get the flight books. Yeah. But you know what? It's a challenge, but we live and learn. So dealing a lot with the B2C world, which is a lot of asking permission, is just also learning to maybe start being a bit more strategic, forward-thinking, planning better in your own real event setup in our industry, because things are getting quite straightforward. There you can argue that clients wants to get promoted, so the people that are paying you as a sponsor wants to get the brand promoted, so there isn't the same way of permissions and stuff. But maybe sit down and think a bit more about how do you get the best of both worlds? How do you use that to amplify your own events and make it better? So I think there's a lot of learnings we've taken from this. But again, when I talked about the greatest show in gaming, that term was coined before the Legends charity game. And I think what I'm getting at here is now adding something as big as a Legends charity game, sitting more in a B2C world, connecting a little bit in with our B2B world as well, just almost completes the circle here. Mm. It makes it the best of sports, charity, entertainment, 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, of pure high-level business, return on investment, networking, connections, enjoyment in terms of being happy. Tim, if you and I are happy at a show, 3 days we're going to spend there, we got to feel appreciated. If you don't feel appreciated, it's almost like, screw that. You know, why the hell am I here? Like, I got better things to do. I'm going to start organizing meetings outside. No, we got to make people feel appreciated. And then the music part. People love music, right? And DJs are very much the composers of much music today. Even any old school song these days is being reinvented with a DJ touch to it. And it's just pure entertainment. And I would be honest and say my taste in music has always been hard rock. Like, I'm Guns N' Roses or Metallica. But recent years, especially going more to the gym, the DJ industry has really grown on me. I think the music is pretty cool and it's very energetic.
Sure, yeah. Almost as a side note, but you were talking about kind of access to kind of football figures. And as a journalist, I did a bit of football at the start of my career, and I've probably had more exclusives with high-profile footballers in this job and in this industry than when I was because they often, if there's no, you know, they don't have to talk. Yeah. They know everyone wants to talk to them. So
true.
But on the kind of journalism topic, this is quite a unique interview in that we're both media publications. And obviously SBC Media going strong. But of course, the focus is, as we mentioned, the growth is huge on the event side. Yeah. If you could maybe talk us a little bit through, I'm not sure if it's specifically a pivot as such, but such a huge focus on events.
Yeah, it makes you reflect a bit, but I guess from my experience, and not just experience, numbers talk, right? And you can almost say I'm very ambitious. I'm a perfectionist. There's no question about that. And I think as bad as it is sometimes to be too much of a perfectionist, it's driven me to be, I wouldn't say competitive. I'm very competitive, but not in a way where I would get arrogant or unfair, whatever. It's very, very much with integrity led, I would say. I think what you realize is, okay, if you want to grow, events is just far more scalable than media. Media is great. It's there. It's authentic. It's the truth. It's creating content, but it isn't as far scalable as you can scale an event. As you've seen with SBC Summit in Lisbon, it originated as betting on sports in London. Right, then it grew to Barcelona, and now it's in Lisbon with a show that's size-wise actually the biggest if you look at the square meter space, but audience-wise, ICE is obviously a bit bigger. But the quality and overall, I think, is the best show. So that has happened on the sheer level of being very committed to growing something. And it's also generating more revenue per se, a lot more than what we can do in media. So I think with any business, right? If you have multiple products and you want to grow the business, you got to find a balance between the products. And if you want to grow media, you need money. So if your events can grow and make more money, you'll also make the money that can allow you to grow media. So it's that balance. And I think if we were focused solely on media, it would be harder. We wouldn't get to 150 people we are today. No way, right? Unless we had ways of cracking other industries, maybe fintech. There's a lot of hype, a lot of industries, and a lot of media and fintech as well. You see some of them are big, or you go into crypto, whatever. Sports, sports is difficult, right? It's a great industry. There's so much money, but on the media side, it's tough. And also on the B2B side, almost in sports, it's hardly exists in terms of making money on that. So our industry is great for media, but there's a lot of competition, right? And there's a lot of competition that also works well on our partners, right? So it's almost like fair growth in a way. That is, whereas events, we were one of the earlier ones to compete hard. And I'm relentless when it comes to doing something. I don't stop. I continue. And, G2E and ICE were the biggest. G2E is still a very big and great event, and ICE is, with its legacy, still the biggest event. But our event is certainly now, with Summit, become the best event, the quality-led, but the second biggest. And then obviously Sigma has a number of great events as well. There's less competition, even though people don't need more events. It's more it's more scalable. And that just led us to grow to the size we are. And it also is allowing us to invest more in media now. And again, listen, I love this industry. This is my home. I've been here for 2 decades, but I'm of course looking at other industries as well, like Clarion and Reed and everyone else. They do organize many other events in many other industries. So if you want to look beyond your own industry and grow the business to 200, 300, 400 people, 500 in the future, as I said, I'm ambitious, but I'm going to have to see some opportunities of doing that. And for that, you need to see that you're generating enough revenue and you're making success in where you are. You wouldn't go into other industries if you aren't successful in the existing industry, because then you are risking too much. So I think with that ambition and being relentless on things, we are now seeing opportunities that we wouldn't have had if we focused only on media. So it's about what you want, and mine is on growth. There's no question. I do something, I love it, I crack it, I want to do more. That's just been my path for the last 20 years. It's, as I said, I'm a perfectionist and I'm dedicated and committed, so I have a hard time stopping. It's not always good, but it's me.
Yeah. So focusing on growth, looking ahead to the future. Obviously, we had the Rio show this year. Looking ahead to next year, again, similar question to kind of with Lisbon, but just with a look ahead to a little bit further down the line. What were the learnings this year? What was the success that you're taking into next year? And is there anything that perhaps you could change or do a little bit better, you think, on the perfectionist theme, perhaps, ahead of next year in South America?
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 key shows. We got SBC Summit Rio. We got SBC Summit Americas. I think Brazil is a tough market these days, right? There's a lot of regulation, a lot of scrutiny coming in. Like any other market, we were all very, very, sort of excited about Brazil. Huge market, 200 million plus. But unfortunately, a lot of regulation is putting some top on the market for now, where as any other market, as I said, like there's politicians, there's people that want to make as much money as they can when they impose something new. And unfortunately now they're imposing too much on the existing operations there, that it's harder to make the money you want to make, which means that the market is slowing down, right? So what needs to happen is a new balance, a new look at certain areas of the industry in Brazil, and understand it better, and then regulate it better. And once it starts getting a little bit back into the forefront of being a smarter regulated business, then it will start to blossom a bit again. So it's like it was up here, now it's a bit here, and now we need to sort of see it here. So obviously those things impact the event side as well. So we grew a lot from 24 to 25. Huge. We went from 7,000 square meter space to 25,000. It's like times 4 growth. It was massive. But we're not growing it next year. We're keeping it at the same level. So it's going to stay at a 24,000, 25,000 square meter space. And we have an exhibition floor, which is about 300-400 exhibitors. It's quite big. But with the market as it is right now, it's going to be to try and literally do it like last year, which was pretty busy and full. So we're looking about probably about 10,000 to 12,000 people attending, which is good. And about those, I think it is about 300-400 exhibitors. Now it's 400. I can't know exact, but it's very similar to last year, which was a very good event. We're probably going to introduce, based on the fact that Brazil tends to want to look at them in isolation and say the Brazil market is one to look at. LATAM is LATAM, but Brazil seems to say Brazil is this big. So we might include an SBC Awards this year just for Brazil, a small one that's in talks. We wanted to grow the Affiliate Leaders Summit into the market more, maybe make it more agnostic in terms of bringing in other industries. We don't know if we're doing that, but it might have a little bit more of a space within the main hall. But other than that, it's very similar. We'll have an Infinity Rio. We had Afrojack and Dub Dogs, which was amazing, 3,000 people going crazy. But yeah, I think it's very similar. For Americas in Florida, it's going to be around the time of the World Cup. So obviously great timing that if people are staying for a few days, they can probably go and watch some amazing World Cup football next year in Florida as well.
Final question let me put you on the spot a little bit, but we've talked a lot about, there's a couple of areas that have come up naturally more than others, and Brazil and LATAM certainly so. But if we're looking into, and you mentioned obviously other industries and growing via perhaps not just gaming, but within gaming, looking at where the biggest potential for shows and events could be in the future. If you could look at Asia or Africa, which one do you think in long term holds more potential? And there's obviously kind of, as we mentioned, regulation with Brazil. That's a similar thing with those areas.
I just think Africa is tough because the visa requirements and the move between countries is very tough. Right now, you can't host a bigger show because it wouldn't be for all of Africa. So I think that's the problem there. I would probably say Asia. I think if you say Asia, you could maybe, argue you could include part of Middle East into the discussion of Eurasia. Obviously, RAC, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. There's lots of talks.
Yeah, that would make a significant difference if you did include.
So let's say we're looking at the markets. I think there's some interesting things going on. I can't go into too many details right now, but what I can mention is we will launch in 26 SBC Summit Goa. So we are moving to India. And the reason I can announce that is we made an agreement with the government. So it's government approved. It will be the first government approved event in India for gambling. It will look at gaming, fintech, and a few other areas. And it will be in 26. I don't have the exact date yet, but you're the first one to hear that.
Well, we feature that.
So I would say Asia, including India and also Middle East as a whole. It's quite an interesting market, I think. And there's a lot of money. There's a lot of interest. With India as well, it's a huge market. We're starting out in Goa, and we'll see what happens from there. But we know that some of the biggest brands in gaming are screaming for something in India. So I think that's going to be a very exciting event. And obviously you guys are invited as our good friends.
Yeah, we'll look forward to it. India is certainly interesting, especially Sri Lanka kind of opening up recently as well. And comments from Melka recently that it could be India's Macau. That's the aim potentially. So plenty to look forward to.
Yeah.
But yeah, Raz, thanks very much for a very, very in-depth chat. Really nice to visit SBC HQ, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon. Yeah,
and I mean, you guys, I appreciate the attention and the partnership we have. I mean, Julian and Gary we go way back, and anything we can do to support one another, we do, of course. That's how we grow the businesses. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and interview me, and it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. To our viewers, thanks for watching, and Raz, Pleasure.
Good to see you.